Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'll last in the last lecture we finished off discussing site accessibility and semantic HTML. In this tutorial, I'll take on from there and I'll talk about navigation. By navigation, I mean not your page navigation as how would you navigate between different pages, but instead how the screen reader would read your page and how would you optimize your HTML so a screen reader will be able to view the contents of your page easily. So in order to do that, I've decided we'll start with a new project. I'll create a new folder, maybe semantic HTML, right? And I'll select this folder. So in here, I'll create a new file as usual, index.html, doc type, HTML tag, head. Now, up till now, what I was doing, mostly putting things in random order and um, I wasn't following any specific order where I'm putting things, but now, since I'm explaining semantic HTML, I'll be putting things on the right spot. That way, that way we know at least which tag should be used where. So in the body, I'm in this tutorial as I'm particularly planning out our page. I'll start with navigation, and in the body, we have three main tags. One is header, the other one is your main, and the final one is footer. And if you're thinking like what these three are, like header is your top information, anything that's related to your main page goes to the main body, and the footer is anything you see usually on the end of the website. So if you're thinking along those lines, yep, you're correct. So typically, navigation section would go in the header where you have things like your navigation links to home, about us, logo. If you want to search your website like a search box, that will go into the header. So actually, let me put the navigation. And again, uh, for a lot of those tags, you won't see anything on the front end, but as I've been mentioning quite a lot, this isn't some of the tags aren't necessarily for how things look, but they are more for the screen readers and how you structure your website, right? So look, now if I'm using navigation tag, I'm indicating to the screen reader like the stuff that I'm putting inside is for navigation, right? So and then I'm using an unordered list where I can put all my uh, references to different pages. So for example, index, which is essentially the same page I'm writing, right? And then I can give that a name, home. And then similarly, I haven't now created, let's say, about page, but I will in future, and for that, about us. So I'm structuring my website not just visually on the front end, but also giving an indication to the screen reader, right? So if I start a new session of the web server, and there we go, right? So yeah, by the way, I shall have put that into a list item because that way, like that. Similarly, another one like that. And now if I, yep, so that's working. Now inside the main, main generally has two important tags, like the main tags inside the main are is article and section. Now the difference between them, article, the idea is it's a self-contained content, and anything, and by definition you can take out the article. Since the content is self-contained, you can take out the content and essentially put that on any other page and that would just work fine. Section is more like it's grouping of a nearby content, and you put them in or organize them in sections. So a good example of that would be, so if I have, so a good example of that would be you have an article, and inside that you can put a bunch of like sections. So if I have an article, let's say I'll give a H1 heading of, let's say, the role of full stack developer, right? And then I can argue, and I also can have a short paragraph, which it's more like a starter, like let's say, um, but for now I'll put maybe lorem 10, right? Er, the sentence could be more something like the role of full stack developer is defined, blah blah blah, right? But I'm not going to type that out. So that's why I've used lorem 10. And now since I can put those section in the section tab, for example, in the section I can write like h2 tag, and that can be like front end development, and then similarly I would have an other section on uh, backend development, right? And I can have a paragraph, and that paragraph like anything, like a 50, right? And then I can structure that, and again that those line breaks just for me, they won't be shown on the front screen. um, so again a new paragraph for that, I'll use maybe same lorem 50, and then screen, uh, line break here, here, here. Now to show how would that look like on the web page, I'll just open that. So now as you can see the structure looks better, but again HTML is not about styling. It's all about structure, and although the header comes at the top, but through CSS you can change its position, default position, to any other place. Now, a lot of times, if you have an article and in between you sort of get some information which you think is kind of related to the article, but maybe quite not. And the way you would do that is put them in a tag called aside, which tells me, okay, this is some different idea. And maybe in the context of like maybe a full stack developer, I can write something Um, maybe I'll have another paragraph, or maybe, yeah, I'll have maybe, let's say, H3 heading, and I can write something like database is maybe, yeah, and then I can come and then have a paragraph here, and I can mention databases are useful, but data but data engineers are more proficient databases than full stack, right? So that gives me like it's kind of related, but not entirely. So I'll put them in like a side. Um, so and if I see that, so yeah, that's like essentially the same article but on a side. Um, Now, coming to the footer, inside the footer, you will generally have maybe another navigation to, let's say, your Facebook page, your Twitter, um, fine print. For example, fine print is the tag is small. Small doesn't mean like it's the small text. It just means that it's fine print. Um, so if I have that copyright symbol and the symbol for that in HTML is this, and then I can do something like Usman Rahat and all rights reserved, right? So if I show that, right, this symbol, that's how it's done. Another thing that's coming to my, it's just coming as a thought. If you have a, let's say, if you have a image that's related to your article, how would you put that? So, for example, the that image is related to the article. So instead of if an image is actually related to an article, instead of putting an image tag, it's better to put a figure tag. That way, it's we can refer them. That way, we can refer that in the text. So, and now the source, since I don't have any image, I'll upload that later. So picture, I'll use that same. That's why I'll use the same in which image which I've been using in the last. So caption is another that's for your screen reader. Okay, what this figure is about. So figure one is right, and and I can I can copy I can copy that, and I'll go to semantic and put that here. And now that I have that file, I will go to the images and add that in code. So that's it. Let me see that, as you can see, and with respect to caption, with respect to this figure caption, we can change its positioning, etc. When we will go to CSS section. But the idea of this section was getting at least the appreciation of semantic HTML and understanding that HTML is not just simply for styling, it's more so for the structure, and that's why we you see a lot of those tags which in essence don't represent anything on the front end, but it gives you an idea. Okay, nav, that's where your navigation system should be, and you can have navigations in your footer as well. Um, One other thing I wanted to have point out is in the uh, so if you have a header, then you must have a footer as well. But yeah, I think that's all I have for this tutorial, and I'll be coming with another tutorial. So thank you.